Hi, Michael. My name is Demi. In the recent past, you've advocated for the outright eradication of transgenderism from public life with the claim that the supposed right of confused people to pretend to be the opposite sex necessarily infringes on your right to distinguish between men and women. I'm standing here now, a biological male, wearing a dress with a pair of leggings. Do you sincerely believe that I should be subject to punitive justice on the basis of what I'm wearing? And if so, are you willing to turn yourself in for wearing women's panties in your gay college film?
Well, I'll take those questions in order, I guess. The first one, I would encourage you to behave as a man, is what I would do. Because you are a man, and I don't know how exactly you came to the point where you think you're a woman or very much would like to be a woman, but you aren't. And I don't think anyone who is affirming your delusion is helping you. I don't think that they're actually an ally of yours. I think they're lying to you, and I think it's very disrespectful, and I think it will not lead to your flourishing. I think it will only immiserate you. And so you might hate me for telling you the truth, but I think the truth will set you free. And furthermore, your masquerading as a woman does infringe on the legitimate rights of other people, the rights of women to have their own bathrooms. I don't know if you're an athlete. I'm not much of an athlete myself, but the rights of women to have their own sports leagues and the like. That is not something that you have a right to do, no matter how sincerely you believe the fantasy that you're a woman. As to that Yale thesis film, this thing dogs me. You know, back in my wayward youth, I was never a transvestite or a homosexual or anything, but I was something even more morally suspect. I was a professional actor, and I played 200 roles, I would estimate, in my acting career. Soldiers, football players, real macho guys. But you play one half-gay guy in a Yale thesis film one time, it's all anybody wants to talk about. And by the way, I don't remember the exact wardrobe from that undergraduate thesis film, but I think it was male attire, but it was a bit risque. There's no question about that. The only further thing I will say about that Yale undergraduate thesis film, that is the most heterosexual thing that has ever been produced at Yale University, okay? So in the land of the blind, I guess, the one-eyed man is king. In any case, I think your second question was a little bit more of a joke. Your first question, it seems like a sincere question, and my answer to you is sincere. I'm happy to answer any more questions you have, but I'm not going to lie to you, and I think the people who are continuing to lie to you about so basic an aspect of your nature and the rights that you have in political society are not doing you any favors at all.
So having yearned for the days when it was illegal to cross-dress in San Francisco, I'm just very curious why you're so comfortable, wearing drag in these films. It's a really silly.
Sure, I was an actor and I wore silly costumes. I don't know what to tell you. If you have a sincere question about the issue or my stance on transgenderism or any advice that you might be seeking, I'm happy to do it. But if you merely want to say that Yale is a bit of a queer school and, I was in a student film, I guess I was, and I was basically the most macho guy at that school. What does that tell you about Yale University?
When you harp on your right to distinguish between men and women, are you afraid that you're going to be attracted to trans women?
I'm not.
You sure? Are you positive?
Say it again. I didn't hear the second part.
Then why is it that you harp on your right to distinguish between men and women? If you can always tell, why is it so hard?
Well, because it's not even merely that you're putting on a dress. It's that you and people who identify as transgender are infringing upon rights and spaces that properly belong to women, and you have no right to do that. And so when you ask me, why do you care about this issue? And by the way, it's not just me. It's like the vast majority of voters who care about this. The reason is because we live in society and we have political rights, and also because we care for the truth. And the very fact that this always happens with the sexual revolutionaries. They always say, if you oppose... If you don't agree with the idea that a man can secretly be a woman, then maybe you're a transgender or something. I think the implication is quite clear, which is that you recognize there's something obviously disordered about this identity. That's why in your attempt to insult people who are pointing out the truth, you're accusing them of that very same thing. But that inclination, that impulse to see that as a disorder should be instructive to you, and I think it could help you if you would allow yourself not to just cast.
It's weird to CV.
Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female, you said, right?
Correct, is a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? You know, cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, but maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word, so what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
that describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. Okay. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it different.
Can you identify as a black person?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal, you know?
If you believe it.
Sure.
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
Okay, I'm over it.
And we are...
Why are you in the girls' bathroom?
I'm a trans girl.
But you're not a girl.
Oh, we're doing one of these?
Yeah.
Interesting. Never heard this before. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom.
Me too. Excuse me. Yeah.
Do you think that's okay?
I mean, at least he walked away like a gentleman.
You're hurting me, Sheriff! You're hurting me, Sheriff! I can't breathe! Wait!
This looks like a straight up scene from The Exorcist.
Something.
No?
Do you need something?
Do I need something?
Do you need something?
No.
Okay, I thought so.
Keep
pushing.
If you're getting rude, you can leave. Nobody was looking at you any type of way. I don't own the gym. I work here.
Okay.
Yes. And
that
if you're getting
what?
rude, then you can leave.
That means what?
I can go to the police and have you trespass right now. Would you like that?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead, let him know.
That's what we'll do. From right now,
I couldn't believe the officers didn't laugh at the woman on the plane. She was being so ridiculous.
Message. So we'll do the first one. Do you believe in dismantling whiteness? Go ahead.
Yes, of course. And I think dismantling whiteness is kind of a conservative buzz phrase to sound offensive. Like when we say dismantling whiteness, no one's talking about stopping being white, obviously. Like, no shit. That's why we can't control that. We're talking about dismantling the systems that continue to perpetuate putting white people first. That's all that means. And yes, we do need to continue to dismantle that. We've been doing that, but we're not done.
I have a follow-up question on that, but I'll let the rest of the panelists answer. Go ahead. If we look at other countries that have, for example, a different race as the majority, take China, for example, do you think that there ought to be a movement in China, for example, to equalize to equalize the racial representation in that country?
To be quite honest with you, I'm not familiar with the culture of living in China.
It's like 99% Chinese.
I'm sure it is 99% Chinese. What I'm saying is I'm not sure. I don't live in their society. I don't know if their society is geared in such a way that if you're not Chinese, that you have less advantages in the society.
Well,
I don't live there. I can only speak to the society I live in, and I can say white people do have advantages in this society. In China, I don't live there, but sure, if it's set up so that the people who are like Chinese they get way more advantages than people who happen to be black but live in China, then sure, there should be one there too. But I don't live there, so I'd rather speak about what I'm educated about, and I am educated about where I live.
That's fair. I think to get at the heart of Brian's question, I'll ask a different one in the same vein. So Japan has a staunch immigration policy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want people who are not Japanese to immigrate into Japan. They want to keep it majority Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a wrongful policy from your perspective?
I mean, the policy in itself, yes. However, I would need to understand why that. I don't know why that policy exists.
Because they want to keep it Japanese. That's the motivation.
If it's just simply because they want pure Japanese blood, then 100% that's wrong.
So then you would apply the same logic to Israel.
I mean,
we're not.
I'm just asking.
I mean, I know we weren't allowed to talk.
We're not going to dive into it. I'm just asking you to apply the same logic there.
I would apply the same logic that if there's any place where you have to look a certain way to have an advantage, and that is the only reason you get that advantage, and that you naturally will be disadvantaged simply because of the way you're born, whether that's your gender, whether that's your color, whether it's anything, that is not right. And I believe everyone should have an equal opportunity to be successful in any given society.
So one question for you then. So you would then be in favor of Europeans, white Americans, moving to Japan, attempting to gain positions of political power in Japan. Would you be in favor of that?
If they were someone of European descent who's lived in Japan for a decade.
This is why the 19th Amendment was a mistake.
What's the difference? What's the trait that a human has that an animal doesn't have that makes it okay for you to shoot an animal in the head but not a human?
The view of reality, I think the human brain is much more complex.
Would you say that a human adult has a more complex understanding of the world than a child? You have a more complex...
Yes, because it lives longer and...
So are you okay with shooting a child in the head then?
No, because as I said before, as I mentioned...
But you just said humans have a more complex understanding and reasoning.
Yes, and even...
But you have more complex reasoning than a human child, but you wouldn't shoot the human child in the head.
Well, you got a point. You got a point.
Yeah, man.
Why are they not making an argument about the lions and jaguars too?
You said that you're a trans woman.
Trans female, yes, sir.
Do you have a penis?
What do you think you are? You're just a coward. You're a fucking coward. You're a spy piece of shit. And you're embarrassing me. What am I gonna do? Nothing. You're gonna die on your own without fucking
Paul, it feels fucking good. You and your small dick and your pussy way of killing animals, and it feels good. Are you a fucking psychopath or something? You have all the blood on your face and all the blood on your hands. It feels good with your small dick.
I can guarantee you.
Emotional, damn it! Would you rather smash the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman in the world? Honestly, bro, the oldest woman in the world, because then I wouldn't be gay.
What? You really just want me to just rip you a fucking new one. I swear to God.
Are you like, Chase,
No.
how dare you be transphobic?
Yes, actually, what the fuck do you mean? Yes, that was
Because
so
if I
unnecessary.
had sex with a trans woman, I'd be having sex with a biological man, and I don't want to do that.
The question is, that's not what you said, though. That's fine. If that's
Because
what you
I'd
want
be
to say.
gay if I had sex with a biological man.
That's not gay.
That's
And
gay.
I don't even care if you're doing this for like whatever, but like shut the fuck up. Actually,
I'm doing
you
it
look
for
like
what
you have a
it-
leader.
Hey, why don't
That's too far. That's
Why don't
too fucking
you Why don't
far.
you make me
That's
shut
too
the fuck up? Because I have an opinion that differs from yours.
She's right. I mean, that's really
But
hateful,
she's
bro.
not. She's not. It would technically be homosexual. A trans woman is a biological man.
I want to
Sue me.
meet Chase. Dude, that's mean. I also gotta go.
It's not fucked up. It's real.
That's
It's
his-
true.
Okay, if you guys want to
It's
respect
factual.
gender identities, that's his though. That's his sexuality.
I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yes, from a biological woman who doesn't even have any trans friends, that was too fucking far.
What?
A man of God who doesn't judge a Christian, yeah.
Yeah, you know what God said? It said He made them man and women. He made them man and women.
He actually said
I just
man,
told you
women,
I'm not
and
gay. I'll
them.
pass on that. Thanks, though.
So.
No, he said God created man,
Nice.
male and female created he
You
them.
that stating
So
biological
them. So there's
facts would
them.
make
They
people
them.
walk off the show.
No, the them refers to the men and the women.
No, but he
man
said
is the
them,
gender
so
neutral
it's
word.
like they, them.
Yeah, but he's referring to both of them.
But he said them, so he's like saying man created men and women in them. So he admitted
No, he
to
said
create
in the beginning God created man, both male and female created he them.
them.
These are the
Them.
types
So
of man.
While other countries
Right.
are planning
Male and
to
female.
invade us with debating they, them, the
You,
whole
I mean,
thing.
when you refer to multiple people, you say them, right?
Or you could be referring to they, thems.
It's English.
They, thems don't exist. I hate to break it to
I've
you.
met some. It's crazy. You
You've met very confused men and sometimes very confused women, but you have never met an
Most
actual
non-binary people I meet are women, not men.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Maybe because they don't have to face the consequences of all their friends being jackasses. A woman coming out as non-binary probably will have a friend group that will accept her more than
a man
than a man
coming out
as non-binary.
Oh, I thought you were saying the women get into this stuff because they're really messed up or something more than the men are, but you're saying that this is a real category of being and it's just the men are afraid to admit it. You can't seriously believe that.
I do believe there's people who are, I don't know if it's ambiguous or what it is, there's people who were born in their wrong gender, there's people who are born and they don't feel like they fit in either box. Do I think people are born that believe they're cats and stuff? No. I don't believe that shit. No.
There are people who think that, though.
I'm saying no, I don't. I'm not saying that's correct, but I haven't seen anything to back that up. But I just, the fact that you guys, in anyone's right mind would somebody go from, like Bruce Jenner, for example, or Caitlyn Jenner now, for example.
Did you just dead name?
Successful athlete, Olympian, whatever, all this
Guy in
stuff.
the Wheaties box.
Was married to Kris Jenner, had life of whatever. Unless she truly believed that and felt that deep inside of her core, she ultimately ruined her life for basically a whole decade.
No, he became much more relevant and famous than he was.
I highly
Obviously,
disagree.
he was on magazine.
It's difficult to have a conversation when someone is upset. They might not be able to be objective.
Well, as a feminist, I am. I recently interviewed Angelica, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and I asked him this question, which seems to stump many other leaders. Here's the clip. What is a woman? We know that Nicola Sturgeon can't answer that. We know Keir Starmer can't answer that. You're the British Prime Minister. What is a woman?
Yeah, of course I know what a woman is. An adult human female.
It's not difficult, is it, Angelica? I mean, that is what a woman is.
I mean, I don't know why you're obsessed with defining it. Like, what is a man? Like, why do we need these arbitrary...
A man is a male adult human. I mean, that's it.
Right, okay, I don't know that we need
these are just biological facts, but they're just facts. They're not arguable points, are they?
But I think we have a right to self-identify, and you said
As
you
what?
want to...
As what?
If you'd like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue around...
We've literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
Which is a terrible, very distressing, isolated incident, and I think it's easy to take that and say that means that no one can identify as a woman, and
but
that's
it's not an
that's
isolated
not fair.
incident, though.
But it's
42% of trans-identifying prisoners in prison are in there for sex crimes. There's actually an advantage, evidently, to identifying as a female because they never identify as male because somehow male prisons seem less appealing to them. It's really weird. Anyway, but
is it limitless, this self-identity?
It's not totally limitless.
What's the
but
limit?
when you're talking about International Women's Day, I don't know why we take the conversation around International Women's Day and make it about this.
But if anyone,
there's so many benefits.
Right, but if
to having
anyone,
a day.
according to you, can identify as a woman, anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just literally put their hand up and say, I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into
Actually,
the world.
it's very easy.
Very easy.
Very easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
what
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
Whatever that person decides, but to
Does
go
it
out
involve
into the
makeup?
world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I
So
was
why
born
can't
as.
I
It's not-
identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status,
I think
we're
that's
talking
what.
about quite a
With
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said ridicules trans people, because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about.
She was destroyed in her own illusion. The anti-woke movement keeps gaining ground as we wrap up, reshaping conversations across social media and beyond.
A woman is somebody who presents as our social conception of womanhood.
So you
acts in such a way.
So Pixie, just can you answer that question without using the word woman or womanhood?
It's because basically it would be a functional definition. So as a society, we have an understanding of what woman is.
What is that? Man.
Yeah, that's basically.
I am a man.
Well done.
Can
you elaborate?
XY chromosomes.
Okay, but the problem with that is that I didn't check your chromosomes before coming in here and calling you a man, and you didn't check my chromosomes before coming in here.
Or genitals.
Or genitals, calling me a woman.
So let me just play this out. So first of all, you can't give me a definition without using the word woman.
That's a functional definition. Yeah, sure. Do you know what functional definitions are?
I'm very well aware, and you should have a functional definition for the most important question in civilization, right?
Well, the point of a functional definition, functional definitions are a definition that is by the function of something. So, like, for example,
no, there's an objective
1
definition.
1 is one is a function of 1. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. So then, can you give me an objective, a functional, utilitarian, any sort of biological definition of what a woman is? Because how can we debate feminism if we can't agree what a woman is?
I would even, I feel like Pixie's definition absolutely satisfies the definition of what constitutes womanhood, but I would define it only slightly differently, which is that it's a person who performs a set of social roles that are typically associated with feminine characteristics, but not necessarily, because there are even cis women who fall outside of this, and we still consider them women nonetheless. Like butch lesbians, for example, are women that exhibit very masculine characteristics, but nonetheless society understands them to be women. So
I find cis to be a very offensive word, by the way. I don't know how you feel about the cis.
I think
it's hate speech, to be honest.
I didn't mean to trigger you, Brian. I would have given you a trigger warning before if I had known.
So do you think anyone can become a woman?
Yep, but not anyone will.
Okay, so then at what point do they become a woman?
It will depend on where they are in their gender transition for the most part.
Does it require drugs to become a woman?
No.
Personally, I think it's a mindset. It's a spiritual energy. It's the vibe that you give off, you know, like
the vibe. Before we continue on, I want to just give everyone an opportunity to answer totally fine. To answer Charlie's question. I know you two had already answered. What is a woman? Starting with you, we'll go around the table. Go ahead.
Can you skip me?
We'll come back to her.
I'm a woman.
That's the best answer. That's the one that Ketanji Brown Jackson should have given in front of the Senate.
So come back to you? Or?
Yeah, come back to me. Come back to me. Let me brainstorm on that.
Go ahead.
Same. I'm a woman.
What is a woman?
I don't.
What about you? Can I have you tilt your mic down just a tad? Perfect. Go ahead.
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm a woman.
If biology doesn't define sexes, how does pretending they don't exist make them more accurate? It's like hiding the cake and expecting a party.
Oh, I'm not transphobic, but what exactly? You're about to tell me the most dehumanizing thing I've ever heard you believe about trans people? You're about to tell me you're voting for Trump? You're about to tell me that you don't think trans women should use the women's bathroom? If you need to put a disclaimer and that but, maybe keep that thought to yourself. Maybe let's try and think of another thought.
It feels as if there's some sort of belittlement going on when a guy who is biologically male opts to dress up as a woman for cosplay. It kind of makes women feel a tad less respected, don't you think?
You have to realize how bad things got, particularly for blacks, under the Obama presidency, economically. Unemployment, which never reached double digits for whites under Obama, did not fall below double digits for blacks until the 3rd month of Obama's 7th year in office. Under Trump, black unemployment fell to 50-year lows. Black poverty fell to its lowest level on record. You saw black wages rising at more than 15% among blacks, but only 11% among whites. It may not seem like a lot, but that's a 36% difference. That is not just a continuation of something that was happening under Obama, as some people like to dismiss it. It was an acceleration. For the lowest income earners in this country, their wages under the first 3 years of the Trump administration grew at more than double the rate during Obama's 2nd term. This was an acceleration.
Do you have a daughter?
Yes, I have a daughter.
Do you have a son?
Yes, I have a son.
Okay. So if your son was in college and got a girl pregnant, you would want that girl to give birth?
Absolutely, that's my grandchild.
And if she didn't want to parent that child, I would say it's my responsibility. I would feel it's my responsibility to offer to adopt that child.
What if your son was in middle school and got a 13-year-old girl pregnant? You would want that girl to have to go through the trauma of giving birth as a 13-year-old girl?
I would say, first of all, no one wants a 13-year-old to be pregnant. I think categorically everyone.
So she should get an abortion.
Do you think that having an abortion simply wipes it all away? That gets rid of the sexual assault? That cures the pain she endured?
How does this argument apply to the 13-year-old situation then? So if that's not a consenting adult, if like the person who is pregnant.
You can't consent if you're not. If you're a minor, you can't consent to anything.
So should you, if you're a minor, should you be able to have an abortion without your parents' consent?
Yes.
If it's going to harm you in the future, you have your whole life ahead.
You just said you're a minor, you can't consent to anything. And I said, if you're a minor, can you consent to having an abortion? And you just said yes. Do you understand how that's a illogical statement?
Is prepared to have a fucking child.
I agree.
So
no
if they
13-year-old
get
is prepared to
by
be
rape,
a
by
parent.
consent, whatever, they should be able to have an abortion as a 13-year-old.
No one is saying in the pro-life movement that a woman, a girl who is sexually assaulted, no one is saying that she should become a parent. We know it's human because it has human parents. The law of biogenesis says like begets like. Like, I can't make a koala bear no matter how many times I have sex with my husband. No matter what position I'm having sex in, I can only make a human being. And we know that human being is alive because it's growing. The cells are rapidly multiplying. And what's really fascinating is that human being is self-directed. It tells itself how to develop.
Like, yes, the cells are alive, but that doesn't mean it is like human. Like, it doesn't have personhood. Does that make sense?
So okay, that is exactly what the argument. So now, when do you get personhood?
When you can viably exist outside of the womb without depending on the person whose body you're in.
But see, that's a slippery slope, because when I ask people when does personhood begin, no matter what college I'm at, I always get a different answer. And throughout our history, when we separate being a human being from being a person, the results are always catastrophe. It's never good, because there's a slippery slope and different people subscribe different definitions to personhood. So all premature babies should be left to die.
Not if they are wanted. This is about choice.
Okay, so now, all right, so if I could just like animate this conversation, it just keeps going through. So not if they're wanted. Your value as a human, you matter regardless of whether or not your parents want you or regardless of how other people see you. Our point in the pro-life movement is that every single person, no matter what you say or what your beliefs are, that you have value and that you matter. And it's not, your value doesn't stem from your wantedness, from somebody saying that you're wanted. Because your wantedness could change, ma'am. Your mother could want you one day, then not want you the other. I need to answer her question, because I think if I'm wrong about abortion, and if I die, I go to heaven and God's like, you've wasted your entire life, it didn't matter. Okay, would you like me to answer the question?
It's a breath of fresh air seeing a wise, seasoned lady schooling these university girls. Right now, all they've got is a truckload of uncontrolled feelings.
Gendered, it all feels the same, like a punch in the gut.
It's a difficult time to be a woman. There are pay gaps, workplace discrimination, the unrealistic ideals of the beauty industry, fueled by things like Instagram, toxic masculinity, the patriarchy. That's on top of the undoubted stress of raising families, and let's be honest, often being the lone voice of common sense in dysfunctional households across the world. Well, according to my wife, anyway. But fortunately, amid the fray, there are still some inspirational leading women out there fighting the good fight for equality and respect. That is, of course, Dylan Mulvaney, the Google Gemini version of a strong, independent woman. Dylan became a superstar by documenting her gender transition on TikTok, celebrating such core feminist ideals as cute fashion, frolicking in meadows, and falling in love with boys. This brave ode to 21st century womanhood earned Dylan a visit to the White House and an audience with President Joe Biden, not to mention a marketing campaign with Bud Light, whose client base of extremely normal men revolted with such force that it cost the company more than $1 billion. Well, Dylan's pivot to pop music is, of course, much more of the same. It's pink, it's trashy, and here's the serious point, it's packed with misogynist tropes.
These are the
days. These are the days. These are the days of girlhood. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days of girlhood. Every night you rise and shine. They're all mine. Thick and thin, I'll be alright. Got my dolls by my side. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days of girlhood.
Really? Many people make the mistake of thinking that all criticism of Dylan Mulvaney is transphobic. Of course they do. That's the refuge of everyone who wants to shut down legitimate debate. But Dylan's interpretation of womanhood is that all girls are lazy, depressed, promiscuous, over-medicated and addicted to shopping. She's made a very lucrative career out of saying all this stuff. Corporate America and the actual President of the United States have decided that we should celebrate it. So we have, I think, a right to maybe raise a quizzical eyebrow. I have a few supplementaries. Does anyone really believe that Dylan Mulvaney is a positive role model? For that matter, does anybody really think Dylan Mulvaney is a beautiful young woman? Is the entire act a joke at our expense? Is Dylan Mulvaney a secret agent of the Trump campaign sent to expose the utter lunacy of this cultural moment? It's not the only thing that would make sense. On a more positive note, there are some truly inspirational women fighting the real fight for women's rights and equality. Riley Gaines is one such woman. She was thrust into the spotlight as a champion swimmer who was brave enough to speak out against Leah Thomas, the formerly pretty unsuccessful male swimmer who became a woman and immediately began destroying women in women's sport. Well, Riley and 15 other female athletes are now suing the NCAA. They say it's time to fight back, and she's right. Well, joining me now to debate all that and much more is my pack, the uncensored contributor Esther Kraku, the podcaster comedian James Barr, the host of Outkick's Gains for Girls podcast and ambassador of the Independent Women's Forum, Riley Gaines, and the host of the Officer Tatum Show, Brandon Tatum. Well, welcome to all four of you, a super-powered pack, all currently identifying, I believe, as their biological sex, although we can easily confirm that. Riley, great to have you on Uncensored. We'll get to the legal action you have against the NCAA in a moment. But first of all, Dylan Mulvaney, my real problem with this is you've got somebody making an absolute ton of cash by, it seems to me, mocking women and womenhood, despite until mid-20s identifying as a man, because she was born a biological man.
Well, it doesn't seem to me, as a woman myself, I can tell you that's exactly what Dylan Mulvaney is doing. He's made a killing on mocking women with his stereotypical misogynistic comments, and you hit the nail on the head. This new song, right, reducing women down to picking up medication, being lazy, not being able to get out of bed, shopping and retail therapy, hooking up with men and being sex crazed. Again, as a woman, I have not lived that lifestyle. So that's what this is. It's a mockery of a woman. And let's be real. I think the most ironic part of this is he looks like a man. If you're watching that video, he looked like a man who was wearing a wig with pigtails. He's not fooling anybody.
Brandon, I mean, it's complicated. I have nothing but respect for people who transition, for transgender people. I want them to have the rights to fairness and equality.
I'm all sure you wouldn't have stopped Riley from misgendering.
Well, hang on, I'm going to come to that.
That's clearly not true.
I didn't misgender her.
No, but you would have stopped her from doing that on your programme.
Well, okay, we'll come to you in a moment, James. Just wait. But Brandon, there's all these issues, misgendering and so on. What do you make of the wider thing of Dylan Mulvaney, this cultural phenomenon now in America, basically sending up what it means to be a woman?
I think it's absolutely appalling to give credit and credence to a person who's mocking women. Dylan Mulvaney, I don't think is serious whatsoever. You got a gay man who has a lust for fame, fortune, and what does he do? If it's being gay is not working out for you, you become trans and you try to make a lot of money, which is what Dylan Mulvaney has done. Dylan Mulvaney is not an example of women. He's not even trying to be a woman. He walks around with a 5 o'clock shadow and dresses up in women's clothes and mocks women. He's berating women. I have never in my life seen a woman act like Dylan Mulvaney. Not one person on this panel can show me a woman that's as flamboyant and radical and twitching and twisting and acting like Dylan Mulvaney.
Are you insane? Did you watch the Barbie movie? What are you talking about? What? And who are you to talk about who a woman is? You're a man.
The thought of drawing a parallel between a woman's identity and a Barbie movie is downright comical.
What part of America slays the most?
Just being free and being open to be who we want to be.
Absolutely. And what part of America sucks the most?
Probably all the bigots and the haters out there.
Yeah, those people suck.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you do if there was like a bigot Republican or conservative that was here right now?
I'll just let them know no matter what, we still love them. We get it that they have hate in their hearts, but I'm here to share the love.
It's a very good answer.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I don't know what these people are, but that screams Turning Point USA. What's up, guys? This is a total slay. This is a total slay. This is awesome.
Thank you.
What part of America slays the most?
Come from Mexico.
Go, okay. What's your favorite thing about Mexico?
Was what?
What's your favorite thing about Mexico?
The culture is really good.
Yes! Yes! This is a total slay.
Thank you, thank you.
What part of America slays the most?
Boise.
Boise. And what part of America sucks the most?
DC at the moment.
DC. Okay.
Honestly, what's the deal with the parents these days? I mean, what sort of guardians did they grow up with? And what kind of guardians are they shaping up to be?
What is something weird about conservatives?
There is almost a cultish vibe, I feel. The way they operate within themselves, they refuse to listen to outside people, they're refusing to learn, essentially. I think that is a large part.
Ever seen someone with emerald hair and a face painted half black and half white? Doesn't exactly scream normal, does it?
Like Joe Biden got annihilated the other night. He was an embarrassment, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't like Donald Trump in the butt.
I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's smart.
What? Did you watch the debate?
I love all pride, and I like drag queen as well.
For the students, but half of you are not sure what gender is, especially transgender. I know the lawyer said transsexual earlier. That's not the correct term. It's transgender. I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her, and I will only accept those pronouns. I will not be addressed any other way. And in the workspace, I'm protected by that. Our students should be too, especially when they're not over 18 and don't have a voice. So I'm just imploring you to go beyond what, just really consider, what is this fight really about? Why is it such entrenched? I know we hear a lot about religious liberty, and quite honestly, I grew up in Christian education all through college. I don't remember any of my doctrinal classes mentioning only male and female, and that's the way it should be. If you feel it is, awesome, good. You get to believe that. You don't get to impose those beliefs on anybody else. And that's actually what religious liberty is that your right to believe that is protected, but the other person that identifies as something else is also is right to be protected. So I guess I'm here to say is, with Oshkosh Pride, we're paying attention. And we're going to be involved in this conversation if it keeps on going.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you guys are even considering letting bathrooms and locker rooms being co-ed. I don't care how they identify or whatever kind of delusion people live in, whatever kind of mental disease that they have. Boys are boys and girls are girls. It's simple and basic. It's always been that way, and that's why we have separate bathrooms. I'm not going to allow my girls or my boys to shower with the opposite sex because I don't want them fondled or tainted by one of these deranged people sexually. And that's what lingers in these groups of homosexuality and transgenderism is sexually explicit ideology. My daughter goes to Franklin. She brought home books about how it's okay that two parents are gay in a household and it's okay for boys to be girls and girls to be boys. What kind of delusion are you guys living in? Are people really retarded? We're still having these talks? Like, what is going on here? Like,
We don't use that word.
No, it's a word. I can use that if I want. Yes, I can. And I can't believe people are so open-minded. Their brains have literally fell out. Does nobody know why we had opposite sport teams and opposite bathrooms for boys and girls? To protect both sexes from one another. If they want to play some delusional game and we have to allow it, then they should have their own bathroom and their own support, their own sports. It's as simple as that. You know, they shouldn't be allowed to women to come and shower in the boys' locker room. I don't want one of these succubuses coming in there spoiling my young gentlemen.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. We crossed the
What?
line.
It's a word. I can use it if I want. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can.
No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Or what? Yeah. So yeah. Either way, I think you guys all must have some type of mental disease, even considering this kind of thing.
Sir?
You know, I don't understand what's going on with you guys that we're even considering this. You guys need to vote no, absolutely not, and come back to reality. Dude, you guys need to embrace God. You know, all this kind of talk, dude, from the name of the flag, dude, it is against.
When the person from the trans community began to express their thoughts, every person in the room was hushed. No one dared to interrupt. Yet when the guy decided to tell everyone how to speak, interruptions became the order of the day.
Yeah, don't be this guy. What are you waving at all the guys she's about to entertain once you drive away? If she actually respected you, she wouldn't be having a girls' night out. That's so tough.
Your opinion on children under the age of 18, not socially transitioning. I'm not talking about cutting your hair, changing your clothes, but medically transitioning, whether it be surgeries, hormone replacement therapy, puberty blockers. What's your opinion on that?
I think puberty blockers can save people's lives.
That's a very loaded question.
Loaded, how so?
Loaded like a baked potato, not gonna lie. I'm on spironolactone, and I'm very well aware of the side effects that has, and I'm perfectly okay with it.
What's your opinion on, because it had to do with children specifically, children attending drag shows, and are drag shows inherently sexual?
That's an interesting question. I don't think they are. I think some can be, but inherently, I don't think it is. I think it's fine for kids to be there.
Okay, and what about you?
Any sexualization of a drag show is not done by anyone from Pride.
Okay, anything else regarding drag?
I want to do drag.
Following his poor choices and exposing himself to harmful objects, he experiences an awakening moment. Suddenly, he comes to the stark realization that he's made a blunder.
Done that.
You say that God says, oh, there's men, there's a woman, and just leave that as that. Like, you don't represent religion because we don't live in a country where you can be purely pure based on your religion. Like, you sin, everyone sins, if we can understand that. So trying to weaponize that against people and try to limit their rights because of what you think God said, God didn't speak to you. You don't know,
God does
you don't
speak
know
to
God.
me, and He speaks to
No,
all of us, and we
no,
can read His
no,
word in the Bible,
no,
and we can
no,
go to church.
no.
That is true. So what you're objecting to is that I've quoted the Bible, and I've said right there in the early chapters of Genesis, in the beginning God made man, both male and female created He them. And you're saying, Michael, why would you weaponize religion that way? But what have I done? All I've done is just quoted the Bible, and I'd be happy to have a conversation about 2,000 years of church history on this subject, and I'm happy to have a conversation about even pre-biblical or extra-biblical sources on it, on the hylomorphic nature of the human being. I'm happy to do that. That's not a weapon against any people, that's a weapon against falsehood. And so the only way in which I would turn religion into a weapon is against the devil, and that's what we all have to do, because religion is a habit of virtue that renders to God what He deserves. That's the meaning of the word religion. And so I'm just reading the text and I'm practicing the faith and I'm telling you what the faith has said for 2,000 years. And you might reject it, but I think that it's true. I think religion is true. And you might think that it's false and you might have a different set of beliefs, but one of us is, at the very most, one of us is going to be right. And so at the very least, one of us is going to be wrong. And I just happen to be correct about this.
You know, I can respect the confidence, but it's just purely delusion. Okay, I don't think Christianity is delusional. I respect religions, I respect people's rights, but trying to limit someone's rights by saying, well, I believe that God said this, so I'm going to block you from doing this, like abortion. People get raped, people get incest, and it's crazy traumatic situations. And it's very hard for a human to ask a human, oh, keep that baby because God said to. That is impossible.
Do you think
We're
it's
not
hard
God.
do you think it's hard to ask someone, hey, don't murder an innocent person, even if you want to, even if that would be convenient?
I
Because
think
that's
it's
what we're
easy
saying about
because our fundamental beliefs are different. I don't think it's murder. I think it's that thing in the baby, not the baby, but the uterus.
You just said
that
it.
is not.
I think you just admitted that I'm right. That's called a Freudian slip. And I think you...
Playing the victim card must be a full-time gig for her. She made an attempt to steal the limelight, but alas, Lady Luck wasn't on her side.
Would you get a vasectomy? If you're a man, just make sure the woman you're having sex with won't kill your child if she conceives.
Don't have sex with me, I'd kill all of you. And I wouldn't touch any of you.
That needs to be a question on Tinder. Trust me, you don't want to fuck a senator. It's gross. He was. I'm going to respond to his son. So all premature babies should be left to die. Not if they are wanted. This is a valid point. All right, so now, all right, so if I could just like animate this conversation and just keep going through. So not if they're wanted. Like begets like. I can't make a koala bear no matter how many times I have sex with my husband. You grab a limb, you twist, and you pull. This is a regressive, antiquated view of how we treat inconvenient human beings.
Lady, even my service dog thinks you're full of shit, so.
What happens in an abortion?
So I must exterminate it. That's simple, period.
Abortion is a tool. Abortion is a tool that allows women, right, to pursue careers.
That is such a misogynistic statement, what you just said. Yeah, no, I have a video. It's going to be fantastic. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. Do you have a daughter? Yes, I have a daughter. Do you have a son?
Yes, I have a son.
So if your son was in college and got a girl pregnant, you would want that girl to give birth?
Absolutely, that's my grandchild. And if she didn't want to parent that child, I would say it's my responsibility. I would feel it's my responsibility to offer to adopt that child.
If your son was in middle school and got a 13-year-old girl pregnant, you would want that girl to have to go through the trauma of giving birth as a 13-year-old girl?
I would say, first of all, no one wants a 13-year-old to be pregnant. I think everyone.
She should get an abortion.
Do you think that having an abortion simply wipes it all away? That gets rid of the sexual assault? That cures the pain she endured?
That's just a apply to the 13-year-old situation. That's not a consenting adult, and like the person who is pregnant. You can't consent if you're not. If you're a minor, you can't consent to anything.
So if you're a minor, should you be able to have an abortion without your parents' consent?
Yes.
You just said you're a minor, you can't consent to anything. And I said, if you're a minor, can you consent to an abortion? And you just said yes. Do you understand how that's a logical statement?
Is a parent to have a fucking child.
I agree.
So
No
if they
13-year-old is
get
prepared
pregnant by rape, by consent, whatever, they should be able to have an abortion as a 13-year-old.
No one is saying in the pro-life movement that a woman, a girl who is sexually assaulted, no one is saying that she should become a parent. We know it's human because it has human parents. The law of IGBC says like begets like. Like, I can't make a koala bear no matter how many times I have sex with my husband. No matter what position I'm having sex in, I can only make a human being. And we know that human being is alive because it's growing. The cells are rapidly multiplying. And what's really fascinating is that human being is self-directed. It tells itself how to develop.
Like yes, the cells are alive, but that doesn't mean it is like it doesn't have a person. Does that make sense?
Okay, that is exactly what the argument is. So now, when do you view personhood?
When you can violate exists outside of the womb without depending on the person's body you're in.
But see, that's a slippery slope because when I ask people when does personhood begin, no matter what college I'm at, I always get a different answer. And throughout our history, when we separate being a human being from being a person, the results are always catastrophe. It's never good because there's a slippery slope and different people subscribe different definitions to personhood. So all premature babies should be left to die. Okay, so now, all right, so if I can just like animate this conversation, just keep this on. So not if they're wanted. Your value as a human, you matter regardless of whether or not your parents want you or regardless of how other people see you. Our point in the pro-life movement is that every single person, no matter what you say or what your beliefs are, that you have value and that.
I don't know why people believe that they're loud.
Yeah, man.
Why are they not making an argument about the lions and jaguars too?
You said that you're a trans woman.
I trans female, yes, sir.
Do you have a penis?
That's horrible.
You're the one that brought that into the discussion. You're the one that
never
brought that
said
into
anything about genitalia.
Oh, it has
that-
everything to do with genitalia.
I don't know what my rights are for right now.
Audience, if you want to stay in here.
I don't know what my rights are, but that question was
Ma'am, you don't
highly
have to-
inappropriate.
You do not have to answer any question. If you're through, we'll dismiss you.
Well, I'm not through with questions, but I'm not going to answer that question. That's highly inappropriate.
Again, you can say that, and that's your right. So.
Okay, I'm a
there any
healthcare
other-
professional,
are
a
there any other
doctor. Please
questions?
treat me as such. Next question, please.
What a shut-up call.
We're going to go on to the pinnacle of their videos.
One of the worst experiences of my life. I decided to go out today for the first time as a woman without makeup. And when I went to use the restroom, there was a woman and her daughter, and the woman cursed at me before she stormed out of the restroom.
Oh my gosh, okay, so let's get into it. Just because one day you say, I am transgender, it doesn't give us the right to use female spaces. We are a guest in those spaces. We don't own them. They were not designed for us, but generally women in there have been lovely towards me because women are great. But you can't just expect to present as a man and then go into a female space and be fully accepted. At least show you are transitioning with the outside aesthetic before that. Another one of these popping up that is gonna just trash trans women's reputations.
I think it would be difficult for a man to understand what it's like to be a woman. Women have different experiences and perspectives than men.
Oh gosh, isn't it so sad that we have to talk about basic biology, especially when we're dealing with somebody who's a 32-year-old congresswoman.
Alexa,
I'm sorry, did I say
turn off the
congresswoman? I meant
bed.
Congress menstruating person, because apparently we're no longer allowed to say women. I mean, this is so ridiculous. And here's what's really funny. She immediately cripples her own argument here, right? Her argument is that the evil GOP, they're taking away actions that women were allowed to take via abortion. But she's immediately saying something worse. Forget the actions women can take. Are women even allowed to exist anymore? This is what her side represents. It is so radical to not even be able to formulate the word woman because you feel too scared, because you need to accommodate all of these various genders, and trans people are also women, and this is also women. No, women are women. If you cannot enter a debate about abortion and even identify what it means to be a woman, you have no place in that debate.
So you look at this Texas law, and she immediately says, of course, doesn't want to commit to a gender, but also says, pack the court, blow up the filibuster. Does she have a constituency, Candace? Is she an army of one with a big profile? Does she speak for a lot of people?
In my personal opinion, I've said this, I actually think AOC is very good for the Republican Party. She's very good for conservatives. I think she shows people just how radical the left has become. In fact, there was never this much conversation about how radical the left is until she entered in and she said, I'm a socialist. She started stomping around. And so people may not like her platform, but I think it is for the better. You know, when she does something like she did today and she says, oh, the patriarchy and patriarchal ideas and all of this stuff that they're saying, and they're reducing us to a uterus, while at the same time not recognizing that she's reducing women to the idea that we're just menstruating persons, which is way worse. I'd rather be a uterus than be referred to as a menstruating person. You know, it's good for our side. People need to see this. People need to see just how radical the left has become.
So, Candace, we're just getting this in now. Larry Elder is the leader. If they're going to recall Gavin Newsom, he'll be the next governor. He's leading the Republican side. And evidently, he just had a major confrontation in Los Angeles. We're just getting this tape in. Let's just watch it together.
Now, so we'll deal with y'all later.
You take your hands off me, touch me again.
Don't touch her,
me.
Don't touch her, my
Touch me again,
I don't know if you have a monitor there, but there's a bunch of white people and a woman in a monkey mask taking a swing at his security and throwing eggs at Larry Elder. Classy.
Yeah, I've seen this, and it's absolutely infuriating. I know Larry Elder. He's a friend. He's a mentor. He's on the board of the Blexit Foundation, which is my foundation. And let me tell you something right now. If this was on the other side, if a white woman wearing a monkey mask threw an egg at a...
He's using a weird term for women who menstruate, but he calls transgender women women. It's not clear what he's trying to say.
Are like sausages meat?
Yeah, so animal flesh, yeah. Unless you get a vegan sausage.
So if you saw someone like eating a sausage, you would get like mad.
Animals are enslaved, abused and murdered in the meat, dairy and egg industries, and that's what makes me angry. Wouldn't you agree?
Not really.
So you're okay with animal abuse? You find it funny?
It's not abuse.
It's no different to a psychopath.
It's not abuse.
You think this is not abuse?
No.
Well, you're actually eating a pig right now who was 6 months old, and they were forced into a carbon dioxide gas chamber. They literally burned from the inside out, and they screamed for their life, and then they had their throat slit, and you find that funny.
That's not how it works.
Is this the line for free vasectomies?
No, it is not.
No. What is it? Is it the free
Have a good day.
Is this the line for free vasectomies?